Hi, good evening and welcome to the Jon Gaunt podcast. Good to be back at 6:30. Loads to talk about today. Brand new Pope. What about that? And it's not Donald Trump. And a trade deal with Donald Trump. But we're going to concentrate on these two Muppets, Nigel Farage and Keir Starmer. Nigel Farage, let's face it, he's got the X factor. He's brash. He's divisive, but undeniably effective at connecting with you, the British public. Keir Starmer, well, what's he got? He's got the media machine. He's got the big newspapers. He's got most of the TV, particularly the BBC and Sly News, because they hate Farage. They hate the populist movement. So they still try to big up Starmer. Like today, they're bigging him up about a US trade deal. It's got sweet FA to do with him. Trump got the deal. And let's be honest, got to pick over the bones of it. But basically, we're still worse off than we were before. If we'd done a deal right at the beginning, or even in the last term when he was in office, I think we'd have a better deal. But we'll go over that later in the show. This week's headlines will cheer the historic US trade agreement. The BBC and Sly News will try and make out that it's a triumph for Keir Starmer, just like they did with the coalition of the useless, rather than concentrate on what Trump was trying to get off the ground. He sets up his own coalition. What have they achieved? Sweet F.A. Scratch the surface of the trade deal. Like I say, it's a bit early yet, and the details are murky. Scratch the Ukraine deal. Very, very murky. Just what has he achieved in 10 months? Meanwhile, Reform UK and Nigel Farage have stunned everyone with their breakout performance last week in the elections, and the establishment just don't know how to react. Sly News and the BBC, how do we deal with this? It's no longer two parties. So what's really going on? What does Nigel Farage have? Be careful. That Starmer clearly doesn't. That's what we're talking about today, and I'd love your opinions. I'm going to tell you what I think. What do you think of those pictures at the back there then? Farage, X Factor, Starmer. What have you got, mate? What have you got? The two-party system is completely rattled. Some people would say it's over, and that's a good thing. What do you think? Reform. 4, 5 seats, I lose count, in Parliament now. They took massive chunks of the vote in the working class areas, in the so-called Red Wall. And the commentariat were completely and utterly unprepared. It took them 2 days to regain their senses and then try and come up with some excuse. Oh, it's just a blip. It won't carry on. They're mad. They're making the same mistake they made with Donald Trump the first time and the second time. Donald Trump today has shown if you've got experience of life, you can get a deal. It's a triumph today, this American deal, for him and for his party and for his group of people who surround him. Because he's got us to accept 10% on cars. We didn't have that at all before. I know it went 25. Everyone's forgetting what he did. He comes in, he bullies you, puts it up, and then you go, oh, okay, Mr. Trump. And did you see Starmer, the rabbit in the headlights? He was at the Jaguar Land Rover plant. He just hasn't got a clue. And then he started calling him Donald. Quite a good idea. That was probably Mandelson's idea. But when he says it, he's not sincere. He doesn't come over, oh, Donald this, Donald that. In fact, there's almost an echo. He's so far up Donald's derriere, if you know what I mean. He just can't do it. Now, imagine Nigel in that position. It'd be all matey and chummy. It's weird, isn't it? Because Farage is not working class. Farage doesn't say his dad was a toolmaker. Farage worked in the city. Farage went to a public school, but he can talk to me and you much more easy than Starmer. What do you think? Let's talk about it. So the instinct of the commentariat, the BBC, Sly News, was dismiss it, delay analysis. Let's just move on quickly. In fact, one day they had the story about Prince Harry whinging again over the top before this historic, and which even if you don't like them, even if you don't like Reform or Farage, it was historic what happened last week. Oh, by the way, we've got a new Pope and he's an American and it's not Donald. The truth is this, to use a cliche, Farage moves the needle. Even if he didn't have any seats in Parliament, he was still dominating the political agenda. Starmer, on the other hand, well, the best he's been seen as is the Prime Minister in waiting. Then he got the job, but he failed to inspire or get any buzz at street level, didn't he? No, he could tell you tomorrow that everyone's going to get a huge tax cut. No one would believe him because he lied in his manifesto. I think he's toast. I think he's finished. So let's talk. I'll come to your comments in a minute. I'll just start with Thistle, though, who says, newly shaven, John. Yes, I had to have a shave. It was getting so long, I was beginning to look like Father Christmas. But Starmer's not got the public now. He lost it. Time for inner party change, but who can take over? Nigel, you're just an idiot. You come out with ridiculous statements and then defeat your own argument. There's nobody in Reform to take over. It's Farage or no one. Anyway, I want to keep on my agenda. I'm not interested in yours because I think it's a bit bonkers. So what is the Farage factor? Please keep putting your comments up. And don't forget, keep pressing the like button. That helps the algorithm tell more people about it. And as we get more people involved, then I can get more advertising. Then you won't have to keep buying me beers or coffees. By the way, thank you to everybody who did that last night. And thank you to everybody who's donated during the show with one of those gifts or those super thanks or big thanks, whatever they're called, on YouTube. You can do it now if you want, and you get a special mention, of course. So what is it then? The Farage factor. Well, he knows how to speak in headlines. When I worked for The Sun, you had to learn how to write in short sentences. I think being a talk jock helped me do that, to be honest with you. And when people look down their snooty noses at The Sun, and I'm not talking about other tabloids, I'm only talking about The Sun, they're the best journalists. I wasn't a journalist, I'm a commentator, but they're the best journalists because they can encapsulate a story in about 200 words. Not like The Guardian, go on for 1,000, 1,500 words, all misspelt. Not the same at all. Same as the BBC. Anyway, he knows how to speak in headlines. He is confrontational. He is unapologetic. And he knows how to light a fire and then to fan those flames, especially online. He's everywhere, isn't he? Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, YouTube here, GB News, TikTok clips. That's what he's mastered. He's mastered how to get around the mainstream, lamestream press or broadcasters. Just like Donald Trump, he's gone over their head. Donald Trump talks directly to the people. Today was a masterstroke. You know, when he said, get Starmer on the phone, I want him to be in the press conference. It was crap at the beginning because it was like the old dial-up on the internet. But then Starmer appears, Mr. Charisma bypass, and Trump gets the headlines. Trump looks great. Trump can click his fingers and people jump to his tune. Trump was the winner today, not Starmer. I'm not saying it wasn't a bad job to pull it off, and I'm glad it's going to protect a lot of jobs, especially with Jaguar, although not with that new car. So good luck to them is what I say. But don't make out that he's brilliant, just like people did about Ukraine. He's the great statesman. What a load of balderdash. So, more importantly, what Farage has done, he's spoken to the alternative voices. From that, I don't like it myself, but that double act, I used to meet them at GB News, Triggernometry, wherever it's called, or to Talk TV, or to GB News, even got his own show on GB News. Simplify him and amplify him. Those people want him on because he's pure box office. I always laugh when the Uber liberals and the Guardian moan, oh, Farage is on Question Time again. Yes, because he's a performer. He's box office. He's gold, whereas you're boring as hell. So he knows how to do it. He owns the space. Starmer just can't seem to enter the space. He's got no direct connection with disillusioned voters. Like I say, next week, he's leaked it today, but next week he's going to say it's going to be tougher to get into the country. But he's not going to do the big thing, which is stop the bloody boats, smash the gangs. I did a podcast yesterday all talking about tents. Put them in tents. Still look after them, but put them in tents, not in accommodation. Did you see the National Audit Office came out today and said the cost of hotels over the 10-year period of the contract that the three big companies have got is going to reach £15 billion. Billion, not millions. Billion. It's just like HS2. It's a runaway train. No one's keeping a check on the costs. And I'm going to do a podcast next week about these unscrupulous people who are making fortunes out of our crisis in Dover. But that's for next week. Trump today, a masterclass. Farage does that act as well, playing the man of the people. And he's not also adverse to playing the man, i.e. the opposition. They also said that to me in discussion shows. Can't you just beat him with your argument? Why do you play the man? What, you mean I've just called him a hypocrite? That's not playing the man. It's just plain speaking. So despite being privately educated and not working class, because it's not background, it's performance, and he's the master of it. I'm talking about Nigel Farage. Let's look at Starmer. If you've got a comment to make on this, I want it. Starmer has the machinery. He's got the big papers. He's got the centrists in the political class. And he's got the donors. They all came over from the Tories. But what doesn't he have? Let's look at the hits, or more, the misfires of Starmer's first 10 months. He called protesters in Southport far-right thugs, all of them, and he tried to lock up as many people, some of them innocent in my opinion, or only guilty of hurty words, lock them up. That, therefore, gets Trump and Vance the ability to say he's stopping free speech. He hasn't got a clue. These were just ordinary working class people voicing legitimate concerns. Yeah, not very politely. 3 little girls had just been slaughtered by a madman who was known to the authorities, who 3 times was referred to prevent, and 3 times they didn't lock him up. This is Axel Rudabicana, right? 10 times he'd taken weapons into school. Why was he still on the streets? It's a failure of the political and the class that wants to control us. And yes, Farage took advantage of it, and then all you Uber lefties called them the Farage riots. He didn't cause the riots. He certainly didn't do as much to make the riots happen as Keir Starmer, who called everybody a far-right thug. And he knew about, what's his name? Rudabicana, and he could have quite easily told us. He didn't. Even his own terrorism czar says that was a dreadful mistake. So there was public outrage, but he just wanted to avoid controversy. Why? Because he's not a leader. He's a middle-ranking sort of Marks and Spencer's manager. He'd get a good job at the DWP, wouldn't he? And of course, he was the director of public prosecutions. God, if you got him as your barrister, you'd give up, wouldn't you? You'd just go, yeah, guilty. He's then proposed to cut the winter fuel allowance. What a misstep that was. And he had the chance the other day to do a U-turn. No, he's doubled down on it. And when he got his arse smacked in the elections last week, he's still tone deaf. He says the answer is to go harder, and faster. What planet is he on? So that's going to alienate even more voters. Whereas what Farage does, he taps into the anger and the frustration. Starmer just comes over like a manager issuing memos and saying, please like me, look, I'm going to put my Donald Duck t-shirt on. Jerk. Lynn Smith. Hi, Nigel. Nigel behaved appallingly on GB News. VE celebration stating that Ben Habib and Rupert Lowe were nothings. How dare he? It's called having an opinion, Lynn. He needs to be brought down a peg or two. Why? If you don't like him, tell him you don't like him. But I don't know why you're coming on here having a go at him. He was on there as a political commentator. He wasn't on there as a representative of you. I don't understand what your problem is. Right, Dave Whiteman. Thank you, Dave. He's just contributed £1 on YouTube. Thank you. Every penny counts. Thank you very much indeed. Good luck tomorrow night, John, by the way. Yes, of course. The first leg of the semi-finals. I'm sure we'll be fine. So, why does it feel like, even though Starmer's made all these mistakes, like the mistake about calling everyone a far-right thug, and not telling people he knew who the killer was, and his organization not preventing it, preventing this slaughter of innocents, you'd think that would be the end of him. But no, they still love him. Why? Because he's middle class. That's why. He's a barrister. He's a lawyer. He's one of the Islington set. If he was a Labour man, dare I say it, or even if he was part of Reform, do you think his peculiar personal life would get a free pass? Do you think the Lord Alley thing would have been dropped, like it has been with Starmer? We still haven't had an answer why he was taking freebies like a mad contestant with Dale Winton on Supermarket Sweep. There's one for the oldies. We haven't had an explanation. Would the mainstream press have been that soft on Farage? Oh, Farage, well, who bought you that suit? Was it the Russians? Just see where I'm coming from. I'll tell you why. It's because he's got the press on side. I've told you this loads of times. Mainstream politicians, the lamestream, they're in bed with the lamestream media. They're all each other's mates. They're best mates. So like today with the US trade deal, you wait, if it is on the news later, which I think probably the Pope being elected is going to really piss all over their parade, if I'm honest with you, in terms of headlines. But it'll all be Starmer's wonderful. This was a trade deal by the US for the US. I haven't read it all, obviously, but zero detail. But before the detail even came out, I was watching the news this morning and it was a shocker, both on Sky and on the BBC. They were saying, well, do we know what's in it? No, but we think. And they didn't know. They hadn't been briefed. Trump had played a blinder, but they were making out that Starmer's wonderful. They must think we're stupid. Do you think Sly News and BBC think the great unwashed, me and you, are thick? Well, I think they do. Then when he launched his vague Ukraine coalition, which I called the coalition of the useless, he got instant headlines. He was statesman-like. He was showing global leadership. Well, that's because he was never in this bloody country looking after the riots or looking after the cost of living or making sure that pensioners could not have to choose between meat and heat. Where's the scrutiny of Starmer? There's a few skeletons in his closet, so they tell me. Why aren't we hearing about it? You got to ask the question. Meanwhile, Reform's rise barely made the front pages until the shock of last week. And when it did, it was met with confusion or sneering dismissal. Have you seen that woman, John Smith's daughter, who's the American chief correspondent now? She's worse than that John Sopel. Her bias is off the scale. She says, she hates him. And there's people in the BBC who hate Farage as well. Namely, I could say that lady who does breakfast TV. I've been on telly with her a few times. She's quite a nice woman, but she don't half think she's chocolate. And if she was chocolate, she'd eat herself, starting with her head. I'm talking about Nana. That's who I'm talking about. Is her name Nana? Nana McCutcheon? I don't know what her name is. Starmer, though, he plays by the old rules. So he uses media sound bites, press releases, staged questions and answers where he has all those people behind him and he knows all of them, right? And they all look bored stiff. Farage, if he'd been in that press conference today, he'd have made a joke about how bad the production standards were. He'd have just felt comfortable. Starmer was petrified. Yes, Donald. No, Donald. 3 bags full, Donald. Farage doesn't need a friendly BBC studio, which is a good job because he never gets one. He's got half of YouTube and GB News now on his side. The result? One man feels absolutely real when you watch him and you listen to him, even when he's outrageous. The other one feels dead safe, but kind of disconnected from our lives. Am I going over the top or are you agreeing with me? Polls today says this all Reform 33%, Labour 20%. What else is this? Via Find Out Now. I don't know if you believe in polls. What do they say? The only polls that matter are the polls on the day. Yeah, okay. Robert Becker said Trump says countries. Let me put it up for you. Trump said countries are queuing up to kiss his bottom to get a trade deal. And Starmer proved him right. What a very good comment. Very good comment, Robert. Thank you very much indeed for it. Yeah, he's going to have them all doing trade deals because they can't cope with the new world. There's a new sheriff in town. Let's have a pause there. 20 minutes in. Thank you very much indeed. We've had 8 likes. Not bad. We normally do better than that. Do you want to give me some more now? Come on, likes. Like it. Get the algorithm moving. And indeed, if you're listening later on a podcast, you can still press the like button and you can still donate. Go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt. You can choose a coffee or you can choose a beer. Got to say thank you. I think it was he called Craig? Gave me 3 beers this afternoon. Much appreciated. Thank you. 15 quid. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much indeed. But if you want to, please do. You don't have to contribute. It is free if you wish. But what I would like you to do, if you haven't paid anything, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Jon Gaunt TV. Then you'll never miss a show. Coming to your calls in a minute. Calls? Your comments. Starmer's got power behind him. The party, most of the mainstream media, although they're beginning to turn now, and he was doing well in the polls. He's now the most hated prime minister, most unpopular prime minister on record. Why? Because he can't connect. That's why. He just doesn't feel real. Yeah? Am I right? Am I wrong? But Farage has got all the momentum. He's also got that emotional pull. He just knows how to press that button, how to dominate conversations, how to shift the window. Starmer, he's still busy writing policy papers or listening to people who haven't even started shaving yet, his advisors, SPADs they're called, they're straight out of university. He thinks they know about the world. It's a joke. So the question isn't just what Starmer's got. It's got to be, can he learn to connect before the tide turns fully and he gets drowned? He gets drowned. And that's what's going on. And it wouldn't matter if he was in opposition, but because he's our prime minister, it does matter. Today was humiliating on the world stage. As that bloke just said, he was kissing ass, and it was so embarrassing because he's not even comfortable kissing somebody's bottom, metaphorically speaking. You'd think he would be because he's got nothing else. He's got no backbone. He's got the backbone of an amoeba. My mum made blancmanges in rabbit molds that had more of a spine than him, and jellies. Do you remember those green? Why did you always have green jelly with a pink rabbit? Eh? Maybe our parents were all on acid or something. I don't know. I'm just wondering. The only factor Starmer has is sun cream factor 2. He lets everything in. That is brilliant, Chopper. You're going to get a name check there. I'm putting that up so people can see it, so they can see that you actually said it. It wasn't me. So thank you very much indeed. So what do you think? Does it matter? Is charisma more important than policy? Maybe I'm wrong to say that Farage has got charisma and that's what's winning. He's also got policies, hasn't he? I agree with most of his policies. Do you? Let's have your views. Is Starmer the future, or is he just holding space for a new leader to come through? But who would that be? Angela Rayner? Rachel Thieves? There aren't many left, are there, that you could... Lammy? How about him being Prime Minister? So drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you found my little breakdown useful, please hit the like and the subscribe button, because there's a lot more of this where that came from. I've got loads and loads of podcasts and videos now, and the best way to see them all or hear them all is by subscribing to YouTube. So do it now. Just now. You don't even have to go off the page. Just press like, just press subscribe. And similarly, if you want to donate something, press the button that says donate. Oh, I'm getting lots of people saying play up Sky Blues. I just realised why. Because I won't be here tomorrow, will I? Because it's the big game. Coventry on the way to Wembley again. Somebody told me a good joke. They said, oh, yeah, when you go to Wembley this time, as you walk in, the barman will say, usual. We've been there that many times in the past few seasons. But what a great unifying factor football is. I talked about this the other day. The whole city is excited by it. So, yeah, there's no show tomorrow night. I might do one during the day, but I doubt it. But I will do one Saturday, and I'll be unbearable if we've won. So there's your advance warning. Yeah, I'll be absolutely Unbearable. Could you imagine who's going to replace Starmer if he goes, says Thistle? No. There's nobody. That's the point. There's nobody. But it's the same on the Conservative benches. I suppose they would say Robert Jenrick doing his... Well, he does his Nigel Farage tribute act, really, doesn't he? I'd rather have the real act, yeah? If I'm going to see the Sex Pistols, I want Johnny Lydon to be in the band. I don't want that new guy with all the tattoos. It's the same with politics. What do you make of Farage? I'll take your comments and I'll listen to them and read them later as well. And it'll just fuel my thing. But where do you think British politics is now? Are you happy with this US trade deal? Do you think I'm being unfair saying it's Trump's deal, nothing to do with Starmer? Well, it's nothing really to do with Starmer because it's been in the planning for ages, hasn't it? But I just don't understand why we didn't have it earlier. Well, I do, because when you're in the EU, you couldn't negotiate it. So several years ago, we weren't allowed to talk about it. What do you make also that? But on the same token, the EU, Trump hates them, doesn't he? Did you hear him in the press conference? Boot, kick in, boot. They're going to get a right deal, aren't they? I'm going to be laughing my duck off at that. But let's not get carried away. I don't think our deal's brilliant. I'm only talking about the headline figures because we're still paying tariffs for our cars and stuff. And we're having to accept their beef. I can't get hung up about their beef. If you're hung up about it or chlorinated chicken, don't buy it. Buy the other one. I don't buy New Zealand lamb. Why not, Gaunty? Because New Zealand lamb, it's all halal. And I don't agree with that form of slaughter, so I don't buy it. Now, that means I've got to go somewhere else and buy it more expensive. I'll have to do that. Or I won't have lamb. I'll have beef. It's ridiculous anyway. Lamb is now more expensive than steak. Where's that come from? Huh? Ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. Sorry, I'm going off the subject. Dave Whiteman, he's just come back in and just put another £1 in the pot. Thank you, Dave. I'm obviously doing the right thing for you. You're obviously enjoying it. Thank you very much indeed. Anybody else want to do a quick donation just before I go? You can be like Dave. You can put more of £1 then more than £1 in if you want. So just finally then, I want you to check out my YouTube page. I want you to see all of my videos and my podcasts. I'm also doing these little shorts. I've got a mate called AI. I never met him, but he volunteered to do it and he cuts up the tapes and they're like 30 seconds, 40 seconds of me going mental most days. Have a look at them as well. They're all on YouTube. I think some of them are on Facebook. Most of them are on YouTube. If you just want to sort of kickstart your day, it might be a good idea to listen to them. Farage is the next PM. You're right, mate. Jackie Ward says, thank goodness we're not in the EU. Trump is going to kick ass big time. He certainly is. He certainly is. I mean, today was a masterclass in how to control the media. He didn't tell Starmer. I mean, Starmer must have known the deal was done. He didn't tell him he was going to announce it today. And he sat there and he's probably thought overnight, hey, that'd be a good day to do it. 80th anniversary of Victory in Europe Day. Let's do it then. So then he's probably gone to bed, forgot about the time difference, then phones up, I don't think he'd do it himself, phones up Starmer's mob and says, I'm going to announce it later. He puts it up on his social first, though, doesn't he? On his own social network. Everyone goes, oh, they've got a deal. All the other countries are fuming because they wanted to be first. We're first. Starmer then, and then he plays it even better. He's 25 minutes late for his own press conference, like a rock and roll star. I once went to a party, Duran Duran's party, and they didn't bother turning up. So the band didn't come. I thought that was the height of rock and roll myself. I thought that was a classic. But anyway, he was half an hour late today for his press conference. Then he didn't want to start. Oh, then he let out the rumour, I'm late because I'm waiting for Starmer. I want Starmer to come on as well and share the glory. Did he? Hell's like. He wanted to rub his nose in it. Then Starmer does come on. The internet connection's crap. But then Trump just dominates the room because he's a superstar. And I would suggest humbly to you, so is Nigel Farage. Lots of things you might not like about him, but he's a superstar at working the crowd. He'd be one of those guys at Coventry Fair, and when I lived in Hull, the croc fairs. You know when those guys are there and they're doing that thing with the plates and they're throwing them in the air, and he'd be brilliant at that. Or the silent auctions. When I ran an exhibition centre, we used to have these guys coming and saying, who wants to give me 10 quid for this bag? And no one knew what was in the bag. There was something in there, but whether it was worth 10 quid. Anyway, do you know the sort of people I mean? Do they call them hawkers or something? Anyway, that's what Farage is. Farage knows how to present. Keir Starmer is never going to be able to present. And he's never going to be a leader while I've got a hole in my underpants. It's true. It's absolutely true what I'm saying. Just my views. You don't have to like them. I had a great one on YouTube today. Somebody wrote a comment and said, what a horrible channel. I'm never listening to this bloke again. He's so nasty if people don't agree with him. You're kind of missing the point. But anyway, thank you for making a comment. Every comment helps. Right, I'm finished. I won't be here tomorrow, but I will be doing something over the weekend and definitely back on Monday at 6:30. Final apology for not being here last night, although I think it's a brilliant podcast. I put it out much earlier in the day. See if you can have a watch of that one or a listen to that one. I think you'll enjoy it. I think you will. But there we are. All right. Thanks very much. If you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Hey, don't forget to tell them you love them. And I'll see you in the morning. I'm off to suss out this new Pope now. See ya. Bye.